So good morning, everybody. We're going to do a review of week 3, the lessons. We're going to go over Barack Obama's election, the financial meltdown, and the healthcare reform. All right. Let me pull up this new note taking.
Is it recorded for like the other students to see like later on?
Yep. So you're going to be
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, we have somebody else here. Good morning.
Jose.
That's who I thought it was. How are you, Jose?
Good. And you?
Good morning, Jose.
Good morning.
We are excellent. Here we go. Zoom in. I'm trying to zoom in a little bit here. Just had. All right, now I feel really dumb trying to figure this out. Let's see. I wanted to use this. Oh, here we go. All right, so Mr. Manful, if you want to jump in at any point while I'm trying to pull this up, I wanted to use this to put in this week's stuff. Maybe let's start with the factors that led up to Barack Obama's election. There we go. I think there are two if anybody wants to shout them out. Two big things that helped get him elected that are happening in the previous chapter. What happened in the country financially? We had a financial crisis, right?
There was a recession. And you guys know what a recession is?
We're in one right now. You should all know. The economy is slowing down. All right, so that's the one factor. The second one here, can you all see this here? You can see what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay. The war, where was there a war that becomes very unpopular? Iraq. So these two factors are going to make the Republicans very unpopular. All right, let's go over to the candidates. Of the 2008 election.
Guys, who were the candidates? Eddie, do you know who the candidates were? Who went against Barack Obama? Do you know Jose? Can they hear me?
I can hear you. Oh, Barack Obama, obviously. Yeah, I guess we'll get to the kid in a second. Where is he from? What state? Senator from? We might just have to do a lot of the talking.
Anyone know?
Illinois. Some other big things, right? He's younger. You know, more progressive. Any other things you want to add, Mr. Manful?
Yeah,
I wanted to move this out of the way.
No, not right now.
Okay. He gave a speech in 2004 to the other Democrats that was very popular.
At the convention,
Yeah. I mean,
he gave a speech at the Democratic convention. It was a very popular speech.
he's a very good speaker.
It put him. It put his name out there. More people got to know him through the speech because those speeches are on national television. It brought the party together.
So let's do the other candidate. John McCain. He died. Well, he died what? Last summer? Of
Yes,
cancer.
yes.
Republican.
He's a senator from Arizona.
Remember, he's a war
Veteran, right?
veteran.
He was actually a prisoner of war.
Yeah, he was supposedly shot down and tortured.
Correct.
His running mate was a woman, governor of Alaska.
Sarah Palin.
They are conservatives. We'll get into what that is, I guess, with Mr. Manful later on, right?
Are the kids writing this or taking a screenshot or something?
We'll just post this video.
Right.
All right, so we have that so far. These factors leading up to it. Let's do the 2008 election. Do over a little bit. So let's talk about the factors that directly get Obama elected. And that, yeah, Mr. Manful, you can jump in at any point. Grassroots campaign, right? He has a lot of younger people.
Does a good job at promoting his campaign on the internet.
Yep. I don't want to compare it to
When campaigns didn't have that much experience at promoting themselves on the internet, he kind of was the model of how to do that. And also going door to door. When I say, I mean, obviously, grassroots means going door to door. Sorry for getting off topic.
Yeah. All good.
Grassroots means town hall meetings and things of that nature.
So some other factors. What was his campaign slogan? Everyone should remember that from the video. Eddie or
What?
Eduardo.
Yeah.
That boring video you were talking about.
Huh?
That video. It's remember Obama's. People start to shout it. Yes. What?
Wait, what you said? What was Obama's what?
Campaign slogan. What was his campaign slogan that people used to chant and cheer about?
Yes, we
can.
can. And there's two more I wanted to add. Kind of like right now, what Trump is doing. President Bush, the Republican, bailed out a lot of the big wealthy banks. Why would that be unpopular?
He kind of just said it.
How would regular people feel about that? Think about what we learned about in the last chapter. Who caused the financial crash?
Give me a second. I'm gonna do something real quick.
Bailed them out with think that was 700. Let me double check here. Like 700 billion. Yeah. $700 billion. So he basically
Wow, man.
rewarded them for crashing the economy, is how people felt. And obviously the war again, right?
Correct. Iraqi war. Iraq war was not a popular war.
Yeah, it's definitely starting to become a failed war, or began to be viewed as a failure. All right, so we have these things here, right? We have the factors leading up to the election, the candidates, Barack Obama and John McCain, and the election. You know, this is why Obama wins with such a huge landslide. I think he won 53% of the popular vote because of his grassroots campaign, young people, very promising slogan, yes, we can, and the unpopularity of the last president.
Can you zoom in?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the factors leading up to Obama's landmark victory. All right, we're going to skip ahead to the financial meltdown. So Obama faces some economic problems, right?
Correct. Huge recession.
Which is totally relevant today as we're all waiting for our big fat stimulus checks.
That's
Except
correct.
if you are dependent, I don't think you guys get them because you're dependents. So let's talk about some of the factors before we look at how Obama addressed it. Okay, so he comes in, Obama promises to create jobs and provide relief. All right. Some argue he's doing too little. Some argue he's doing too much. Which, I mean, Trump, what do you guys think about Trump right now? Is he doing too little or too much?
I think he's doing maybe too little.
Anybody agree or disagree? Yeah, I would agree. So
Maybe more can be done.
what kind of things could he do? To help the economy? Anybody have parents that have been affected?
Wait, can you repeat that?
You have parents that have been affected by everything going on?
Yeah, because of jobs.
Are they laid off or just reduced hours?
Laid off.
Oh, wow. So they're waiting for unemployment, right?
I think my dad already got it, if I'm correct. They accepted him.
He got what? He got laid off, or he got unemployment?
He got laid off, but I think the other day he was talking to me about how something about unemployment, something like that.
this is going to happen pretty soon if that thing's done. So a lot of Americans lost homes. And meanwhile, who is getting bailed out over here? Banks. So this is going to create a lot of anger.
Do you think it's gonna become like how it was?
He could. I mean,
Depends on the actions that are taken, right?
it depends on how long this
So just like now,
virus takes to get under control. It depends on how long it takes to get this virus under control.
yeah,
If it's an extended period of time that this virus is not under control, then obviously companies will continue to lay people off. People will continue to lose jobs, and unemployment would increase. So yes, it could be similar, and it could also be worse.
Yeah, unemployment would increase a lot.
Right.
I mean, the government said they would give up to $600 extra towards unemployment. I don't know how that's working out exactly. But if this goes into the summer, it'll probably get worse.
Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it's. Yeah.
Workers laid off, unemployment goes up. And the last one I wanted to add here before we get to Obama's response is that globally, I mean, this is why a lot of companies are doing poorly, is that globally, a lot of countries aren't trading with the US now because our response has been so bad and the virus seems like it's going to get so much worse. So global trade slows. So
The stock market is affected.
anybody know, before we get to Obama's response, what was Trump's response so far?
So what's happening right now?
Yeah.
He just at first he was saying they was gonna have everything in control. Well, yeah, in the beginning, I guess.
Stimulus checks for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
$600 extra unemployment. And the thing is, he left a lot of this stuff up to the states, which isn't really great. So here's Obama's response. We can maybe compare. So for him, tax cuts to working families. So he didn't do stimulus checks. If this wasn't as bad as it is now, I guess you could argue. Put tax cuts to working families. Federal funds for growth. So he provided money for construction and building. Put that here. I'm going to get better at this, hopefully, as I continue to use this. Entitlement programs. What's an entitlement program? I mean, welfare is a form of an entitlement program. So it provides
benefits, right?
Yeah,
Benefits from the
benefits for
government.
people who struggle.
Yeah.
And lastly, we could say what he tries to do is monitor and oversee who caused the financial crisis. in a lot of people's eyes. The big,
Wait, what you said?
who caused the financial crisis?
Um,
Or we go back to here. They had to be bailed out. The banks were giving out loans to people who couldn't pay them back. So his plan is to do better monitoring and regulating big banks.
why didn't you think about that though? Like, why would you lend like money to people who like if you know they wouldn't pay back?
Yeah, I think you would. A lot of these banks knew that and did it knowing they could make a quick profit off of these people who didn't have a lot of money. It's like they were being.
Yeah, it's like if you default on your mortgage, that means you can't pay. You're not able to pay the loan, right? Right, Jose or Eddie.
Yeah.
So if you can't pay the loan, they can foreclose on you and then resell it to someone else. You know?
Yeah, I mean that's the whole issue is that when you don't regulate banks, they're going to do things that are very wrong to turn a quick profit. All right, let's get to healthcare, which you people could argue is Obama's biggest victory. Which, if anybody saw why it's relevant, I think Trump, he made it so that like the healthcare Obamacare market isn't open. So people who are being laid off their jobs right now can't get into Obamacare.
Right.
A lot of people who can't afford healthcare are pretty much screwed.
Yeah.
All right. What's our first point?
Well, can they hear me?
Yeah.
You'll type while I'm talking, Mr. Forte.
Yep.
Well, first thing off, not everyone was able at the time to afford health care. So Obama wanted to make health care more affordable um, for everyone. Yeah, he wanted to make health care more affordable for everyone.
Okay.
Because unfortunately, sometimes, not just all the time, but sometimes people that are upper class obviously are able to afford it. And sometimes people that are middle class and lower class can't afford it. So he wanted to provide equity amongst all classes when it comes to healthcare. Also, what he wanted to do was small businesses. Let me not start with small businesses. What Obama wanted to do was he wanted to raise taxes on the wealthy
That's his goal, right?
in order to pay for the health care. He had to raise taxes on the wealthy in order to pay for the health care.
So these are all just goals, right?
Yes.
Okay. Before we get to the actual deal. Good.
Yeah. Okay, you want to go to the actual deal now?
Yeah. So
Okay, the actual deal is this. Tax credits. Tax credits for any small companies small businessmen whom paid their employees health care coverage. So if you were a small company, you paid for your employees health care coverage, you got tax credits.
and that's you don't pay for all the healthcare, you pay for part of it.
For part of it, right.
Okay.
My fault, part of it, right.
I think it
And
was a
also,
requirement, right? If you had full-time employees, you had to provide them health care.
Yes. If you had full-time employees, you had to provide health care. That's correct. Especially if you had 50 or more employees. If you had 50 or more employees, you had to provide health care if you had 50 or more employees. Also, if you had a pre-existing condition, say you had lung cancer, but for any pre-condition you had, the insurance companies could no longer reject coverage just because you had a pre-existing condition. They had to allow you to have coverage. They could not base the rejection on pre-existing conditions.
Yeah, you guys get how that works? Like if it's very, very expensive to treat cancer, insurance companies aren't going to want to pay for it.
Right.
But now this law says you have to. You can't deny because someone has this condition.
Right. Right. Also, if you were a young adult, I guess that would be considered from the ages of 18 to 26.
Yeah.
If you were a young adult, you could stay on your parents' health care policy. If you were a young adult, you could stay on your parents' health care policy.
That's huge.
Yes. Especially because young adults, if you're only 19, 20 years old or 22 years old, normally you're not at the peak of your career, or you're still in college, or you're still paying loans. But you're generally speaking, you're not where you need to be financially to pay for your own health care. So it's very important to be able to stay on your parents' health care. That was huge. Give me a second. I'm looking for something else here.
Okay, I'm just going to zoom out here for a second to look at the big picture as we get to the last one. We got to do the Tea Party, right?
Yeah, we'll do the Tea Party in a second.
So we'll try to turn this into a PDF for everyone to look at.
Did I mention that he increased taxes on the rich? What am I missing? I'm missing something, Mr. Forte, in this healthcare program.
I guess, I'm just thinking forward to the criticisms.
Well,
The
the criticism, major
conservatives get really upset about this.
yeah, conservatives get really excited because one, he raises taxes on the wealthy, and they don't feel as though they should have to pay the bulk of this for the bulk of this healthcare program. It's a very expensive program, and the wealthy don't want to have to pay the bulk of that.
Yeah, they're very anti-taxes, anti-big government. I know what you're saying about here.
Man, I'm trying to get back into this.
Okay.
How do I get back into this? Hold on. Where I can see you.
I'm taking a look here. Yeah, in general, did lower costs, strengthen Medicare and Medicaid. So people who are poor, low income, and people who are over the age of 65 had their health care expanded because they're vulnerable to these sort of things.
All right.
And that's a big one, right? It extended healthcare for 32 million Americans.
Right. Previously, I don't remember what the number was, but there were far fewer people that had health care previous to this Obama's healthcare policy, healthcare pro reform.
Yeah. trying to get this out of the way. How do I hide this? Here we go. But so far, I feel like this is a bit of a disaster, but we'll get better at it. Here we go.
I got to get on with Miss Bristow pretty soon.
Yeah, we're just about done. We just covered that Tea Party. So 32 million Americans now have coverage. Because the only criticism is that it's still pretty expensive, this Obamacare market. It reformed, had some great reforms, but it's still very expensive if you can get into it. All right, Tea Party. Let's just finish up with that last part. What were conservatives upset about with all of this? I mean, all of this spending, right? What does that increase in the whole government?
Where does the government get their money from to do things? To pay for schools, to pay for
Tax,
huh?
taxes.
Right. So
They
all this,
pay for all that.
so if he's going to pay for this, make healthcare coverage more affordable.
Yeah, think about like Trump when he gives out all these checks. Where does that money come from?
Taxpayers, don't it?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Well, I think in a lot of cases, like this tax money isn't going to cover it, so it's going to increase the debt of the national deficit. And government, they think government's getting too big now that the government is regulating healthcare.
Government getting too many muscles. The Tea Party wants as least government involvement as possible.
Yeah,
They
they
don't
think of
want a lot of-
themselves as like the people in the American Revolution throwing tea over, like they're, raising a rallying cry.
Right.
And then I guess the last part is that this leads, so Obama, he could get a lot done in his first 2 years, right? What happens to Congress? Who takes control of Congress? Republicans. So if Republicans have the Congress,
Particularly in the House.
yeah, and the president is a Democrat, how much do you think they can actually get done?
Wait, the
If Obama is a Democrat and the Republican and the most of the Congress is full of Republicans, how does that affect Obama?
because he's not a Republican.
How does that affect him when he tries to pass a bill, or he wants he trying to pass a bill? Does he have less of a chance of getting that bill passed, or more of a chance of getting that bill passed?
He has less of a chance.
Right.
So it makes it harder for the president to accomplish his goals.
Yup.
That's why after this, really, I don't think much else gets done under Obama's administration. All right, so just to review the big ideas for 1 second, make sure you understand the factors that get Obama elected, right? What factors during the election and prior to the election? That's here. Make sure you understand what did he do to address the economy? Maybe two things. Healthcare reform, right? What are some things that his healthcare reform did to help Americans? And then lastly, who is this opposition party, right? What are some things they believe in? How does that affect the politics? All right, so I think we're pretty much done. Thank everyone for logging on. Any final comments, anybody?
Nah.
Mr. Forte, did you post an assignment today?
I'm going to post just the 4 questions to wrap up the week.
Okay.
That'll be it. So just send me that that list of things you have for healthcare.
All right, I'll email it to you right now, okay?
Okay. So have a great weekend, everybody. We will see you virtually on Monday.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye. Take care.
You too.